Okay, I'm going to break down here some thoughts on Ethereum from an integral perspective. So early on in what you'd consider the blockchain, so Bitcoin, it was a pretty red atmosphere. There was pirates and thieves stealing people's Bitcoin on a pretty consistent basis. You might have heard of Mt. Gox, wherein millions of dollars was stolen off an exchange. Now, there's now good reason to be a little bit fearful of exchanges, although they have gotten a lot better and a little bit safer, the major ones at least. But it's still a little bit of a dangerous place to store your cryptocurrency if indeed you do get into this. Ethereum is neat in that it allows you to build something called smart contracts, and a smart contract is essentially a programming layer built onto the blockchain that allows you to make dApps or applications within the Ethereum network. So in other words, you can build, say, I think a new one that's going to be released pretty soon is the Akasha, and it's like a social networking system where you transfer tokens back and forth. And there's many different things that's being built on top of the Ethereum blockchain right now, and that's part of the reason why it's exciting. But getting back to an integral context, looking at the difference between, for example, currency and money. So currency, if we look at the fiat currency, say, of exchanged in most countries around the world, it's pretty much floated in every country, so there's no actual tangible asset tied to it. So in the 1970s, for example, or before, you had gold-backed currencies. Typically, it was still fractionally reserve currency. So for example, a bank didn't have to hold all of the money in the bank to lend you out so it would lend off like a fraction of the amount that they actually had stored in the reserve in the bank. And that's still happening, but we've also floated. So there's no actual hard assets backing the currency. It's all backed by decree of the government. So right now we have, you probably heard these figures like, in the United States, I think, 130 trillion in debt or something along those lines. If we don't believe that the government can ever pay it back, then there might be reason to distrust the integrity of the currency that's being issued by that government, right? So the safe bets therefore become things that are kind of relics in some ways, like silver and gold, which still do hold their currency, their value well. Like you could buy a toga, a pair of shoes, a belt, and a nice meal for 1 ounce of gold, 2,000 years ago, and that's about what you can buy now. A nice suit, belt, nice meal, some nice shoes for about 1 ounce of gold. So it's held its value fairly well. Ethereum is the other direction on it. The backing here is not a centralized backing, which is big for me. The backing of fiat money is a centralized governance model that's being backed. Here, the internet plus the computers that are working on the internet are essentially your securitization. So long as the internet doesn't go down, you're pretty safe with Bitcoin and Ethereum, minus some potential software glitches. But Bitcoin's been running non-stop for 8 years and hasn't gone down, although there has been some moments of being scared, and same with the Ethereum system too. So in my opinion, if you look at it, Bitcoin and Ethereum might be our first integral currencies that in fact support innovation itself, so yellow innovation as it were, the innovative V-meme in many regards. In my opinion, yellow is the innovators, and so it's kind of exciting that we might have our first real integral currencies. Be well.